Well, Coach, great to have you back on the show here on In the Circle. First, obviously, let's talk about. I really want to talk about last year. You go 32 wins,
Yeah.
first most wins for the program since 2008. 25 win turnaround, the best in Division One. When I say all of that, now that you've had time, obviously, to reflect on that, what comes to your mind when I say that?
I'm just proud of our student athletes and our coaching staff from last year. I mean, honestly, it was because of them that we were able to turn this thing around. But I think it took just culturally. I thought our team, our program was in a much better place last year, and player development. So really all the credit to our student athletes and Coach Toka and Coach Sanders and Coach Alexis, who were on our staff last year. So yeah, it was exciting. When we were in it, you don't really think about what we were actually accomplishing. So when our student athletes came back this year, we thought it was important for them to understand exactly what they were able to do. And, just to hit on some main things offensively, we did some great things last year. As far as our program history is concerned, we finished in a few categories in the top third in the history of Penn State softball. And defensively, we had the best overall fielding percentage that the program's had in 10 years. From a pitching standpoint, we had the best ERA both on the entire year and Big Ten, best that the program's had in 10 years. So just a lot of tremendous strides that we had last year. And we had 4 players that were on all Big Ten. We had 2 all-region players with Cassie Lindmark and Bailey Partial. And Bailey Partial, our program's been in existence since 1965, and she's the 5th All-American that we've had in program history, and just had an incredible year. And she was also the Penn State female student athlete of the year as well, which I think there's so many great and elite female athletes here at Penn State. So for Bailey to have won that was huge, and Cassie Lindmark had a fantastic year for us as well. And Allie Curlin was a huge part of our success too. We miss her this year, but we're wishing her all the best down there at Georgia. But anyway, so yeah, just a great year. I thought our kids did a really good job of just staying process based. And once we started winning, I think that's what we needed as a team and as a program, was just to, okay, what does it take to win? And you have to figure that out, and I thought our kids did that last year. But overall, all the credit to our student athletes and our coaches, and had a great support staff, and, a lot of support here at Penn State, which is awesome.
Was there a moment last season where you felt, hey, this is turning around? Like, and I remember we spoke during the season when you had media availabilities about small steps with each tournament that you played in the non-conference. They
Yep.
eventually got you ready for the conference. But was there a moment looking back where you're like, all right, this group's figured it out here, how to win, and we could have a really good year here?
Yeah, I think for us, my staff, yeah, when you look at the year before, we lost about 14 games by 1 or 2 runs. We knew how talented our kids were, and we knew their potential. So we knew that we just needed to figure out, okay, what does it take to win? And when you look at our pre-conference, schedule and the tournaments that we played in, I mean, we were finally winning. But I think when it really hit home is probably when we played here in our home tournament, and we had a winning streak going on, which really that was not our focus, because we're always focused on going out and going 1-0. But I think our tournament at home, our staff just kind of talked about, man, we're just finding ways to win, right? And the one thing, if you look at the way we won, our kids, they were just tough, and they were gritty last year. I mean, we go to Ohio State, in the game that we won, honestly, we scored the winning run, and the six, it was a bottom of the 6th where we just had a 2-out rally, which is awesome. And I mean, we had Wisconsin, we're down by 2 runs going into the bottom of the 7th inning with 2 outs, and we find a way to win. And if you look at that, I can probably think of 8 games where there was one player, and there are always different players that just stepped up, and our kids just kept doing that, right? It didn't always have to be Cassie. It didn't always have to be Allie Curlin, who are a big part of our success. I mean, everybody stepped up, whether it was Maggie Finnegan, whether it was Lilia Crothamill, whether it was Lexi Black. I mean, it was just really, our team just stayed together and found ways to just win games. So
I'm always interested when you took over the program and now where you're at now. Do you feel
yeah.
like you're where you thought you would be? Do you think you're ahead of schedule?
You know, we our staff knew what we were potentially capable of, but I would have to say that I was not sure if we're going to make those types of strides, right? Those types of strides in 1 year. So we're very pleased with where the program is currently at and where we're going. And even if you look at it, man, we looked at our schedule and said if we found a way to win about 5 more games, we would have had a really good chance to go to regionals, right? And when the regular season ended, our RPI was right around 55, which was it's the best RPI that the program's had since 2011 when we went to regionals. So yes, I would say that we definitely made a lot of positive strides, and I would say yes, we're ahead of schedule. But you know, right now, I'm pleased with the kids and just where they're at culturally, because I think that's a really big deal.
I'm impressed with the history knowledge here you're bringing to the
Yeah.
show. I love it. From that standpoint, that's pretty sweet there with the knowledge there. When you look at, certainly last year, obviously the 32 wins, you mentioned the 55 RPI, all the success. What was the message to this year's team, to the returners in particular? Because obviously you probably, the players probably got a lot of support, a lot of positive feedback, but now there's a new year. So how do you, on the one hand, you that's got to give you confidence into this year, but on the other hand, it's a new year.
Right. Yes. So like I said, when they came back, I thought it was important for us to celebrate the successes that we had as a team, because of that confidence piece, and to just acknowledge the fact that we're all about here just building on our legacy and finding ways to elevate the program. So we had our time to do that, but the kids know that was last year. This is this year. So I think it was definitely motivation for us to go out there and work hard every day. And honestly, our kids have been, I tell you, they have been a lot of fun this fall. Just the way that they're playing the game. If you look at our fall stats too this year compared to where we were at last year, I mean, every category that you can look at. I mean, last fall we were 3-3. This year we were 6-1. Last year we hit 300. This year we hit 4. Last year our slugging percentage was below 400. This year we're at 700. Pitching ERA is better. I mean, everything. So just to see the development of our team this fall has been awesome. I think they're getting tougher, and I say that because they are finding ways to really embrace failure, celebrate successes, and for me, I think that that's huge when you can stay positive even through failing. And our kids are doing that. And I tell you, this year's team, they're playing with even more energy, I think. And they're just a lot of fun to watch. And I think when we went to Maryland, or not to Maryland, we had the opportunity to go play Williamsport and to see what they were able to, how they played the game against a very good Maryland team. Obviously, we're familiar with them, but man, they were just a lot of fun to watch. So yeah.
I can sense in your voice the joy you're having with this group. Was last year one of the most enjoyable years? I mean, you've had success where have you been, everywhere you've been, but is this like one of the most fun years of your your career?
I've been fortunate and blessed in my journey. I've been a part of so many great teams from a cultural standpoint, and I think for me as a coach last year, just with the turnaround and the group of kids that we had to see, I think what was most rewarding for me was just to see the growth, right? Like that piece of it. That's why we do this, is to have an impact and to see your student athletes grow personally and on the field. But yeah, I think that was it. I think last year I was able to have fun with them too. And as a coach, you kind of learn, like you have to be able, you have to coach, but you have to have fun doing it. And you have to have fun with your team. And I was definitely able to do that with last year's group. And but yeah, this year's team, they're just a lot of fun to watch. And we brought in a transfer this year. Her name's Morgan Farah, and she's just one of the most positive kids that you could ever be around. And I think she's been a huge asset to our program culturally this year. And we're a veteran squad this year, right? So I mean, we got 12 seniors, and that's going to be, that's exciting. So I think because we're a veteran squad, I think that's why this year we didn't have to worry about establishing standards and learning processes. Our kids already know it. So for us, it was about, hey, let's find ways to come together even more, and to find ways to have fun with each other. So yeah, it's been a really good fall.
Of course, you're led by, as we talk about this team, led by Bailey Partial, who became a name last year. Got a lot of notice. You mentioned the awards that she gotten earlier. I mean, when you're the Penn State Female Athlete of the Year, you've done something when you beat, especially like volleyball players, and the great
Yes.
tradition there. What makes her so special, and did you see this coming?
So for Bailey, she's one, when it comes to pitching, first off, I think for a pitcher, she has one of the best game IQs of any player. Bailey is somebody who spends hours watching film, you know, not only just looking at her skill set and analyzing her own video, but studying opponents. I mean, Bailey was studying film this summer, right? Just watching games. So I think that was a big part, just her mentality, as far as her game IQ. And then I think she got a lot tougher last year. And I think when I say that, Bailey in years before, and I had only worked with Bailey for 1 year, but I think Bailey always wanted to strike out. Bailey last year, she was real happy when she got one pitch outs. So I think her maturity level of understanding, like, hey, I'm not just going to strike everyone out. I'm okay getting one pitch outs. I think little things like that definitely helped her. But I think her mindset was really what affected her game. I mean, she just grew through the course of the year from a toughness standpoint. But yeah, physically, she's a kid who goes out every day and works very hard at her craft, and she's very intentional about it. So yeah, all the credit to Bailey and her growth, both physically over the course of the year and mentally. And I really truly do think that that's why she was successful last year.
Obviously, such high expectations for her now, and people know who she is. Is that something you talked to her about kind of staying focused, kind of blocking all that off? Because now people know who she is in the sport and outside in the campus, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think any athlete that has the success that Bailey had, it's hard not to have these expectations, right, for yourself. So we've had conversations, all fall about she just has to stay focused on the process and focus on ways to make her game better. I think once springtime hits, I think it'll probably kick in again. And I told Bailey, when you look at how her fall went, it wasn't perfect. And we talked about, like, that was the best thing for her, right? Is to figure out, man, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to give up hits, but I still have to just stay tough, and I have to stay gritty. And I think this fall was good from her from an expectation standpoint. But no, Bailey is someone that, she just goes out there. She wants the ball every time she's in the circle, and she wants the ball when she's not in the circle. So I'm sure we'll have to have some conversations in the spring about expectations. But, right now she's just working really hard in the off season on bettering her game.
Yeah, obviously, she gets a lot of the notoriety, but she's not the only pitcher on your staff. And I know you're going to depend on other arms, especially early in the season, to establish themselves and get you some quality innings. Tell us a little bit about the rest of the staff.
Yes. So we have Kylie Lingenfelter, who was on our staff last year, who's a righty, and they joke all the time about Kylie is the right-handed version of Bailey. So, they're a great complement to each other, and Kylie will, she'll see a lot of innings for us, like she did last year. Vanessa Oatley is a left-handed pitcher that she throws at a different speed, more of a down ball type pitcher, and has an effective off-speed pitch. So she's a great complement to those two. And Lydia Spalding is also on our staff, another lefty. And so I'm fortunate. I have three righties and three lefties on staff, which is obviously a great mix. And then we have two freshman right-handed pitchers. We have Lillian Berry, who's going to be throwing for us, who, she relies, she works basically in out and has a good off-speed pitch and relies on a drop ball. And then we have Paige Maynard, who is going to throw a little bit harder, more of a power type pitcher. So I think the two freshmen are going to contribute as well to our staff this year.
And of course, you have great defense behind them, and offensively, you're led by Cassie Lindmark. You mentioned had 400 last year, 7 homers, 34 RBIs. What makes her such a great talent there, not just offensively, but could also help you on other ways?
Cassie is just an elite hitter, in my opinion. And last year we had her hitting leadoff. We'll see where she hits this year, but I mean, the kid's on base percentage is through the roof. She finds ways to get on base, whether it's she led the Big Ten. I don't know if you know this, but led the Big Ten last year and hit by pitches. So,
wow.
Yeah, she just has great discipline, at the plate, doesn't really strike out a lot and just finds ways to get on base. And the other thing she does is when she's put into situations with runners in scoring position, I mean, she just finds ways to get runners in. So definitely, where Cass goes, our offense usually goes, or at least that's how it was last year. I mean, does a great job for us, but I've been really pleased with we knew with Allie leaving, we were going to have a big void to fill, but I know Coach Toka and Coach Sataraka, who's our other hitting coach, and myself, we're very confident in all of our, everybody else's productivity offensively. I know Lexi Black has had a great fall for us. Maggie Finnegan has had a great fall for us. Liana Jones has had a really good fall for us offensively. So we feel very strongly that, our kids are all going to step up and help us to fill the void of Allie. Because obviously Carlin had a great year for us, but I feel really good about where our offense is, even in practice, just watching them. I mean, there's balls flying out of the park left and right. There's, I think our ability to hit for extra bases this year is going to be a lot better. Our kids are running the bases a lot better this fall, which has been awesome to see. So I feel really good about where we are right now offensively, and all the credit to Coach Toka and Coach Sataraka for where our offense is.
Sounds like you got more depth offensively. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew we weren't just going to bring in one person that was going to help. It was going to take our entire team, and they're doing that. And Morgan Ferris, somebody else who's come in, our transfer from Colgate, and she's really stepped up for us offensively, and Kate Morse. So honestly, I could just talk about all of our kids because I really do think that, each of them have individually grown and developed. And it's just been a lot of fun to watch them this fall.
Obviously, it's a veteran team, as you mentioned, but you got some new faces, the freshmen. How is that blending in? And, do you see some of the freshmen contributing and new faces there to this team as well?
Yeah, yes, our 6 freshmen have been doing a great job, but honestly, we have 12 seniors. We have the bulk of our starting lineup back from last year, and really we only lost Allie. So going into this year, we're going to rely heavily on our seniors and our junior class, but that's a great thing. I mean, having the veteran experience that we have out there on the field it's been awesome. So yeah, I'm excited about this year, and like I said earlier, they're just really a fun group to watch.
Yeah, and they get to learn, right? They get
Yep.
to learn from the vets and pass the mantle, if you will.
Yep.
Staff-wise, you mentioned you added Maisha Sataraka. Talk about her addition and that process and what she brings to your staff.
Coach Misha is she's been fantastic. And last year when we lost Stephanie Sanders, it was a big loss. And, Steph was with me for a few years at Miami and here. So the one thing Stephanie was really good at was she was a people person and she connected well. And I knew when I made this hire, she was really good with our team. And I knew going into this hire that I wanted somebody who was going to connect well with our student athletes. That was first and foremost. And when I went into the search, Misha was just at the top. She is a great person, really just connects well with people, and just her knowledge. So in addition to that, I mean, obviously she played at UCLA, played for Team USA. She has played the game at the highest level, and she's been coached by some of the most elite coaches in our business. And when you put all that together, as far as her ability to connect, her ability to teach, her ability to coach, and just her knowledge of the sport, she just sees the game at a different level. And she's the perfect our program. Our mission is to get to regionals this year, right? So that is somebody who's been there, done that, and understands what it takes to get to the next level. So she's been I have nothing but great things to say about Coach Misha, and she's been really great for our student athletes and for our program.
Obviously, you mentioned the regionals are your goal there. Big Ten had a banner year last year with
Yeah,
the teams that got into the tournament, and of course Northwestern getting to the Women's College World Series. So it's a stacked league. But just talk about that league, because it helps you. It will help you if you win enough games
for
to
sure.
get you to that regional and get you set.
For sure. Yeah. The 7 teams that that the Big Ten sent to the postseason was the most that the conference has ever had. And I know that we collectively as a group are really proud of what our conference was able to do. But I know that, we are all still, hey, how do we still want to grow, and we still want to get better, and we still want to send more teams. But the Big Ten conference, first, I can't say enough about the coaches that are in our conference. When I get to sit in our meetings, I just look around the table and I just think, wow, I'm sitting in this room with just incredible coaches who are just, so smart and intelligent, and it just well respected. So yeah, we're in a conference where it is long. And last year we actually had the third most Big Ten wins in program history, right? So that was another positive stride for us. But yeah, when we look at our schedule this year, if we're able to be successful in our preseason with our games and win enough games in the Big Ten, I feel really good about what we're going to be able to do as far as postseason is concerned.
How strange is it going to be this year that Coach Hutch is not going to be part of your coaching meetings there like you've been having at Michigan with Bonnie taking over? Were
Yeah.
you caught off guard when she had abruptly announced her retirement and late, out of the blue?
Yeah, I think a lot of us, including myself, was taken by surprise, and I think it's a bittersweet moment for everyone, because Hutch has meant so much to softball, But I just have the utmost respect for her and the program that she has built at Michigan. But Bonnie taking over, it's going to be a seamless adjustment, because she has been just as much a part of their success than as Hutch. But yeah, I mean, well respected. We're definitely going to miss her, but I'm very happy for her and her retirement. And it looks like she's having a great time. So enjoying life, which honestly she deserves it. But yeah, so we'll see. You know what? We don't even play Michigan this year. Yeah, it's I think it's yeah, we don't play Michigan, so we'll
So
see.
it may not hit you then. It may not even hit you this year until maybe down the road. I mean, that's kind of wild.
Right. Yeah. So and I yes. So we'll see. We'll maybe in the tournament.
I want to ask you about something pretty cool you did in the fall here
Yeah.
recently in October, and that's obviously you teamed up with the Little League for Girls for a game experience up in Williamsport. You got to spend time there with you in Maryland. Just tell us a little bit about how all that came about and that experience of being in Williamsport. Obviously, well known, well in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, with the Little League World Series and everything like that. Take us through that, the girls with game, and how all that
Yeah.
came about.
Well, I tell you, all the credit, well, I can't say all, but a lot of the credit has to be given to a gentleman by the name of Keith Colta. He coaches for a travel ball team in Maryland, but he's originally from Williamsport. He played football at Maryland. His daughter played softball at Maryland. And, he had a vision of, of doing this several years ago. So I have to give him so much credit, because if it wasn't for the vision of this one man, this would not have happened. Secondly, I've got to give a lot of credit to Mark Montgomery, who's the Maryland head coach, because he had a large part of this. So basically Keith and Mark had asked me, hey, this is an event that we're thinking about doing. Are you, would you be willing to come up and play? And I said, absolutely. When I was presented with this, I thought it was a fantastic idea. So it was a couple of months that went into planning and working with the Little League staff. And I tell you, Eric, as a coach, it's one of the most impactful things that I have ever done. And just to see the impact that our student athletes, not just Penn State, but the Maryland and the Maryland student athletes, the impact that our teams were able to have on these young girls was incredible. So basically what we did was we went up there and we worked a camp, and things were kind of thrown together at the last minute, and we only were able to, I think it was about 3 weeks that the camp had posted, and we had to cap it, and they capped it and we had 120 kids, so 120 kids. So basically Little League had them be a part of this camp, and then after that they fed them, and then they provided lunch, and then they took them to a tour of the museum, and then all of these young girls were able to come to our game. So we did a camp, basically had lunch, and then we played Maryland, and we had about 1,700 people in the stands. I mean,
Wow.
it was awesome. I just get goosebumps thinking about it, to be on that Little League, field. And it's the first collegiate softball game that's ever been played there. They actually took the game ball and they're going to put it in the museum along with our starting lineup. So that's how big of a deal, it was. So just a great experience. And Mark and I, we're actually jumping on a call with Little League this week about doing this again. How can we make it better? We're hoping to expand it and get a couple of other teams to come down and play. But this is something that we are hoping is here to stay, and something that it truly is just great for the community.
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad sounds like it'll continue.
Yes.
And really, considering how kind of a short notice, and you'll probably all learned a lot of things. Hey, we could do this next year.
Yep.
We could do this better. I would imagine you got to be kind of looking forward to that. And I think it's great that you're using this platform in the fall ball. I feel like that's one of the things that's kind of I'm seeing from the match, growth of softball in the fall ball is,
Yep.
hey, let's take the game elsewhere instead of just playing on campus. Grow the game and go to different places. I think it's a cool concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark and I have talked, and there are a lot of things that we want to do to make this event even better. And one thing that we're looking to do is to get the game on television next year and get it streamed. And so, yeah, we've got big plans for the future. So hopefully the Little League staff will be on board with it. But Mark and I, again, he's been great to work with, but yeah, so excited about what we're going to be able to do in Williamsport next year and years to come.
That's amazing. That's pretty awesome. I look forward to that, Williamsport. Have you ever been there prior to this?
So this summer, our staff went up there. It was actually the first time that I met Keith Kolta, and he was able to get us some tickets. So we went up there to just kind of watch a game and check out the venue. And I did slide down the hill, so I was pretty pumped about that. So yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm really thankful that our program was able to be a part of something that special, especially being down there in really our backyard, because Williamsport's only about an hour and 15 minutes away from State College. So just a lot of fun. I know that our kids had a great time as well. So Penn State, if Little League will have us, will always be down there in Williamsport in the fall.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Couple last things. I remember when we had you on, when you arrived at Penn State, you were looking forward to experiencing the college experience at Penn State. What have you learned about Penn State in the couple years you've been there? I'm assuming you've taken part in a lot of their sporting events like football, maybe the whiteout. Have you been to a whiteout? And then volleyball, obviously the great tradition among others. What's kind of been the couple years there since you've gotten settled in?
Man, the Penn State fan base and just this community, they love Penn State, and just the pride and the passion that people have here. It's pretty amazing, and not just here. I mean, everywhere I go, if I'm wearing this lion, I mean, somebody is saying "we are" to me, right? So I think there's just something about being a Penn Stater that it's just rewarding in itself. But I think what makes it is the people. We have such great people here in our department, on campus, and in the community. But to go watch a volleyball game, our women, and actually I went a couple weeks ago to go watch them play. I mean, it's something. It's just special. You're talking about one of the best programs in volleyball history, right? So to be able to watch those guys compete is truly amazing. Our women's soccer team here is top notch. I mean, we have so many elite programs here at Penn State. Wrestling, our field hockey team's ranked third. So I just think the culture of excellence here is pretty awesome. State College is a great town, but the whiteout game, the whiteout game is where it's at. So I've told so many people, if you ever are fortunate enough to experience a Penn State football whiteout game, it is worth all the hype and then some. So yeah, just it's been a lot of fun being here, and like I said, it's a great town that in this place, it's just, there's so much pride in Penn State. And the best part of it has been the people, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN's college football broadcaster Chris Fowler says the whiteout's one of his favorite games he's ever gotten to call or be in person to attend in the game. So I definitely, you're not the first to have said that. So I'm glad you got to at least experience that, because that's like I feel like that's become a bucket list around sports.
I tell you, 109,000 people cheering for 4 hours for a football game, man. There's nothing like the whiteout game. So just truly an incredible. And actually, this year our whiteout game was it was last weekend. It was my first whiteout game. So I had no idea what to expect. You have all this excitement going into it. Definitely well worth it. So
Is that something you talk to your players about, kind of experiencing all that and going, seeing volleyball and kind of, kind of have that vibe there that you have on campus that can feed off each other?
yeah, I think our kids, we definitely have the conversations, but I think our student athletes do a really good job of supporting other sports, and not, not just the main sports, not just football, not just basketball, but making, I think they do a really good job of being supportive of other sports here, and vice versa. We receive a lot of support from the other sports, and I think just the camaraderie that we have here at Penn State as a department. I mean, it truly is something special to be a part of, and I'm very blessed to be here at Penn State.
For the Big Ten this year, what's the status of instant replay? Is that going to be part of the mix in the conference, still to be determined? Is that kind of, obviously I know because you used it in the Big Ten tournament last year for the deal, and then obviously it's part of the NCAA postseason.
Yep.
Where's the Big Ten as far as instant replay?
I say it's a work in progress. So I will tell you, it's something that as a coaching group, we are definitely fighting hard for. But like I said, work in progress, and we'll see what the future holds. So
Last thing, what's going to be the keys? You mentioned the goals you have. You want to make a regional. What are the goals? What are the keys for this team to accomplish your goals? As before you know it, you'll get to February, season starts. What are a couple of key factors for this team that they have to do to accomplish your goals?
yeah, first off, I think the culture has to stay strong, and it has to keep growing, because I think that's where it all, where it all starts and it all stems from. I think our kids have done a really good job. We just talked about going 1-0, and that for us, it's a process-based mindset, and it's something that even last year's team, whether we won, whether we lost, it was always okay, focus on the next game. So I think just from an intangible standpoint, we have to be able to do those two things. But we were successful last year because we had strong pitching and defense, and we're going to need to continue to do that. And I think offensively, what I'm really excited about is that I know that our offense is going to be in an even better place in the spring. And I believe we're going to score more runs, and our offense is going to do some special things. So with the pitching that we have and the diversity that we have on our staff, and we've got 5 really good pitchers who's going to help, Bailey out. Obviously, Bailey is our workhorse, and she's going to continue to be it. I feel good about where the defense is, but yeah, I think if we continue to elevate and get better in all aspects of the game, which I know we have, I think we will be successful next year.
Well, Coach, we look forward to seeing your team once the season gets going. But amazing turnaround, amazing year last year, and awesome, great things you're doing for the program, and a great experience there with Williamsport. Thanks for coming on and talking to us like you always do, and taking a chance. Good luck this season, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. Appreciate you having me.